Okay, so this is our organization homepage essentially. And here we have our mission statement for ImpactTrack, but also we have an overview of the number of list of programs that a potential nonprofit, in this case, ImpactTrack, would be working with. So let's say if you want to click on a specific program from a country, like let's say Australia, if you click on Australia at first, for each of the programs, you can see at the top we have a sort of sample victory chart, which is going to display the amount of fundraising we've done over time. So for Australia, you can see over time between 1995 and 2010, we can see a potential fundraising graph of how much fundraising has been done between those years. If you scroll down to pipelines, in pipelines, essentially, this is going to split up our project into several aspects. For example, for this specific project, we can see the risk across all three potential like project segments, whether it be fundraising, recruiting, and outreach. Here, essentially, you'd be able to see an overview of the individual segments, what's their estimated projection completion, and what's the actual projection completion at the lower line graph. And scrolling down, you can see projects. And projects is essentially going to show not only the current impact track project, but also other sister projects such as Theo and Finlit request. And here, essentially, we have our projected initial trajectory of what our completion estimate was and what the actual completion estimate of the current project is. So you can understand how far behind the current project is and how much you might need to catch up and what might be the estimated date to complete.
Okay, so then I will talk about our mission statement. So as part of the nonprofit Alley Suite, the Impact Track module empowers nonprofits to track and report the impact using both quantitative and qualitative measures. As you saw, like in the previous charts, that was an example of the charts and part of our mission. So overall, this tool will enhance the credibility and support fundraising initiatives by showcasing the achievements transparently to anyone who wants to see it. So then I'll talk about the program settings. So down below here, these are some example charts that have already been put in our database. So if you want to create a new chart, let's do a chart ID of 13. We can select from our given program. So I'll select test 2. I'll give it an X label of X, a Y label of Y, and then we will call the title just dogs. So then we will add that chart info. So as you can see down below here, that chart has been added. And then if we scroll back here, if you want to change any, or if you want to get rid of any sort of chart, we can click the delete button here. And as you can see, it also gives a notification that has been deleted. Let's say you want to modify a given chart. So first you can load the information onto the descriptors here. And so let's say I want to change this Y label to sub. So then from there, once I've updated everything that I want to, I can click update chart. So then you'll get the notification that it has updated successfully. And then you can also see down below right here that the Y label has changed. And then from there, let's say you want to reject the changes and just not do anything about it, you can also click clear chart and it will set it back to the default settings. So then we will go on to impact chart settings.
Right. So impact chart is essentially this is basically an interface that would allow the user to be able to update the backend database where all the information is stored to the project, whether it be fundraising, outreach, all the data points and all the relevant information to the database is imported to this specific interface. So let's say if you want to update certain features in the database, you can use the create update formula option. Let's say if you want to add pipeline X data with a specific pipeline Y data, you can choose from the drop-down menu. And once you click set formula, that should update that formula for the specific tables in the database. And also, if you want to add additional variables to a data table, what you can do is you can select create new variable. Once you select create new variable, you can add a variable name and you can essentially assign what that variable represents if it's pipeline X or pipeline Y. And once you hit submit, it should add that variable onto the backend. Okay. And moving on to organization settings. Here, essentially, organization settings for all of the ongoing projects that Impact Track or any potential nonprofit might have. If Impact Track has to do business with a new organization, what you can do is you can set the name, like let's say Rev in this case, and once you click set name, it would update that organization on the backend and add that as part of the database. And if you also want to add a new program to work on, like let's say Rev here as well, you can add a new program, and that's not only going to update it in the backend, but it's also going to display that as part of your new program list. So at the bottom, you can see Rev2 has been updated as our new program here. And then lastly, moving on to project pipeline settings. Essentially, project pipeline settings is going to allow you to be able to modify specific data points for certain projects that are ongoing. So using select project, you can click on a project from the drop down. And for that specific project, you can input certain X and Y coordinates for the data points that you want to modify. And upon clicking submit, it should in theory be able to update that to the database. Okay. This impact track project.
And that is our impact track project.